In the United States, we believe in freedom of press, unless it's in schools. Let's talk about that. Okay guys, so here's the deal. In about the last 25 years, banning books in public school libraries has become very common. So, I understand banning books like 50 Shades of Grey or Girls and Sex, but here's the problem. On the American Library Association's list of the top 100 most challenged books, those aren't the books that are being challenged. Because nobody thinks it's a good idea to put a pornographic novel into a public school. Porn novels aside, banning books really is not okay. Okay, so here's a list of some of those books off of that list. But, to be clear, not all of these books are currently banned, or are banned everywhere. Several of these books are banned in certain states or in certain school libraries, but not across the board. Some of these are even required reading at some high schools while being banned at other high schools. That being said, here's the list. As I Lay Dying, Bridge to Terabithia, The Call of the Wild, Captain Underpants, The Catcher in the Rye, The Color Purple, Gone with the Wind, Grapes of Wrath, The Great Gatsby, Harry Potter, Heart of Darkness, Of Mice and Men, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, The Outsiders, To Kill a Mockingbird, A Wrinkle in Time. So I'm not going to talk to you about all of these individually. Trust me, I'm doing you a favor. But here are the ones I will talk to you about individually. As I Lay Dying is a deeply emotional and moving novel that frankly depicts suffering, death, and poverty. And that's basically why it's banned. Bridge to Terabithia is one of my all-time favorite books. Now, clearly I wouldn't pick it up and reread it now, but I read it so many times as a child, and I own the movie, and I loved this story. It's basically banned for frankly depicting death and asking unanswerable questions about God. Captain Underpants. Yeah, this one just legitimately ticks me off. There is no good reason for that to be banned. The Color Purple is banned for graphically depicting racism, sexism, and rape. It's also a book that opened the eyes of the nation and shook the nation so that they could see these problems within America. Harry Potter is banned for having witchcraft. Yep, you heard me. A small group of Christians that do not reflect Christians as a whole decided that it was okay for them to get the book removed from all schools so that no kids could read it because it went against their religious beliefs. Okay, so these next two I'm going to be a little bit more emotional on, so be forewarned. Of Mice and Men is banned for its use of violence and language. But here's the thing, it's not American Pie. It's not glorifying these things. That language and violence is there because that's what it would have been like. That novel is frankly depicting very serious, very real issues at the time. The way that it would have occurred at the time. And watering it down would remove its powerful message. The last one I want to talk to you about is Perks of Being a Wallflower. Now this book truly, deeply connected with me on a personal level. This is my all-time favorite book. And I understand finding the content within Perks of Being a Wallflower objectionable. The book does talk about drugs, it does talk about sex, it does cuss a little bit, it does talk about violence and deal with homosexuality and the views on that. But the thing is, the book isn't attempting to make any kind of real message about what's right or wrong. The book is attempting to make a message about the way we treat people. This book affected me on such a deep level because it's all about loving people. And the content is there because it's what real teen life is like for most people. So I understand if it's objectionable to some readers, and if it's objectionable to you, don't read it. But this book needs to be in high school libraries. So now on to the problem as a whole. There are two trends that I see here. One, historically significant books that say words that we would no longer consider socially acceptable, and rightfully so, but depict real life things how they were back then, that are being removed because this nation kind of hates to show the youth the time when they were kind of sucky to some people. But that's the thing, is we need to show that. We have to show what our nation was like. It's part of history and it's part of growing from that. The second trend that I see is children or teen coming of age books that are too honest to be in public schools. I'm talking about a whole bunch of books that are removed from public schools for being completely honest on what teen life is like and what the world is like. And here's the thing. We need that stuff. We need that stuff to be in those books. Look, Richard Terabithia taught me at a young age that sometimes life sucks, but that it's not the end of the world. I have a good buddy who was deeply impacted by Catcher in the Rye. He doesn't agree with the content, he doesn't go around imitating the characters, but he was deeply moved and allowed him to see into the brain of people that he would not have otherwise been able to see into the brain of. Especially in Wallflower has that content because it makes it all the more impactful. If that was removed, it would just feel watered down and convoluted, and it would not be as impactful of a point. And the color purple. Come on! Everything in this book is so powerful. How frankly it deals with the problems of racism and sexism and rape and poverty and suffering. This book shook the nation. Guys, wake up. We wonder why this generation is consistently growing more and more attached to things that are inappropriate or unhealthy. It's because you remove the things that talk about those things frankly. You're so worried about this generation seeing the real world or getting introduced to the bad things in the world, the evil in the world, that you don't allow them to see the effects of those things. It's the reasons the books like Perks of Being a Wallflower and Catcher in the Rye and The Color Purple and Of Mice and Men are removed from schools. And it's the reason that TV shows no longer deal with real life issues because they're afraid the kids will not be okay with it or their parents will not be okay with it. Remember when Disney dealt with drugs, dealt with sex, dealt with violence, dealt with all those things, and now they don't? Remember when Boy Meets World and Saved by the Bell and all of those shows dealt with those issues, but now they don't? Because parents are so afraid of their kids seeing the history, seeing what this nation was like and the garbage this nation did, that they will not allow them to see where they have to go back to. It's so easy. It's so simple. We have to have those things. We have to have them. I'm having lighting errors. We have to have those things. Dealing with those things. Talking about those things frankly. That's how we learn. Those who do not know the past are doomed to repeat it. Look. If you find something in these books objectionable, that's totally fine. Don't read it. Don't let your kids read it. But it's none of your business what other parents allow their kids to read. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. And as always, God bless. Have a great day.